What's up, y'all? Getting uncomfortable again. We just wrapped up an episode talking about trauma, but as we were doing that and we got off, we realized trauma is nothing without the emotions.
Absolutely.
So, Scooter, what we got? What we got going now?
Like you said, we're going to be talking about emotions and, talking about the signals, talking about how can you identify your emotions and, what you're feeling and not just straying away from your emotions, listening to your emotions because you have emotions for a reason. So let's just kind of kick it off, man.
And so, kind of where we were talking about this, we were talking about trauma just like we were talking about. And a lot of the time, that trauma stems from anger.
Right.
And as we were talking about and just thinking of anger, anger is the default emotion for majority of men.
Right.
We are always taught, like we were talking about just last time, suck it up. Don't be a little baby.
Right.
Don't be a little punk. If you pissed off, use that anger to go make something happen. Go do something with it. So, which is it works as a kid. I mean, it's pretty good. You may get pissed off. Go have a great game. Go do something. Go have some fun with some friends. Blow off some steam. But as you get older, those outlets are no longer there.
Right.
So now you're in real life situations and the first thing you feel is anger. And that's what you respond to.
Yeah, and that's not going to cut it.
No.
You can't just trivialize your emotions to just anger, and in a sense, anger is healthy. Like you look in the Bible, Jesus was angry when they were, gambling in the temple. So there is healthy anger, but that shouldn't just be your only default setting where you just jump to anger as a way to just kind of just jump over all your other emotions. All your emotions are important. And anger is important too, but it needs to be within context, and it's important on how you express it.
Because not every, like you were just saying, not every emotion you feel is really supposed to be anger.
Right.
Whether you got sadness, I know I've turned sadness into anger.
Right.
I've turned frustration into anger. Anything I felt, I've turned into anger just because it was the easiest thing to articulate.
Right.
And that was because I did not understand my emotions, and I didn't understand what emotions actually felt like. Goes back to alexithymia from the last episode, and actually giving the right respect, like you were just talking about, to your emotions.
Right.
And what does that respect actually look like for you?
And a lot of us don't know how to articulate other emotions. So when you lack intelligence and when you lack articulation, you just go to just being emotional and angry, when that's just the result of you just being just in a state of just not really knowing how to express yourself, So I feel that it comes down to intelligence, emotional intelligence, and really doing some self-discovery and just digging deeper into your emotions,
Kind of touching on what you were touching on just a second ago, kind of doing that check-in with yourself.
Right. Checking in on what you're feeling. That's important. Why am I feeling this way? Sometimes when you feel an emotion, you need to understand that it's okay to just sit with your emotions for a while. Sometimes it doesn't take you making a rash judgment or a rash movement. Sometimes it's okay to just sit with your emotions for a while and understand, why am I feeling this, instead of making a rash decision. Because as we said, sometimes rash decisions have caused a lot of people a lot of pain, a lot of time in prison. A lot of people are prematurely dead. Look how many people out here had they just stepped away from their emotions and just sat with their emotions for a while, they would still be alive. But instead, they made rash decisions that cost them their life.
And then it costs you your job. Maybe it don't cost you your life. Maybe
right.
Maybe it's your job. Like you just said, your boss pissed you off. Your immediate emotional reaction is, I'm gonna cuss that person out. And then you go do it. Now you ain't got no job. And then you say, man, my boss, they was acting stupid.
You play that victim.
Yeah, you go back to that victim mentality of like, you don't want to take accountability that you couldn't control your emotions.
Yeah, and it's okay to feel these emotions, but you have to be aware of your surroundings and when is it the appropriate time to express certain emotions. That's important, and people need to realize that, that discipline that comes with just relaxing, taking a deep breath. That's where things like meditation, exercise come in. Those things build mental toughness, so you can have that toughness and that just that awareness to know when to when to do certain things, when to express yourself, when to walk away, when to put some, and learning how to just distract yourself sometimes. There's been times where I've been angry before and I put on a funny movie and I watch this movie and that distracts me. It doesn't mean that I just throw those emotions under the rug. No, it distracts me enough to deal with it, to distract myself, and then I go back and deal with that emotion later.
You are no longer emotionally charged to go handle that emotion that you felt
Exactly.
initially. So that whole situation, me and you were talking about it. You text somebody, they don't respond back. Your automatic reaction is, your emotional reaction is they probably mad or something.
Exactly.
Or they mad at me. We take it personal. We always we become kind of selfish sometimes with our emotions, where, oh, they got an issue with me. In reality, it could be sick.
And the book that we were reading, they talked about MPA, multiple perspective advantage.
Yeah.
You have to be able to take into account multiple perspectives. Don't be a narcissist and don't think that, oh, they didn't text me back, well, they don't like me anymore. What if that person was sick and then they tell you, hey, man, I'm sorry I didn't text you back, man. I got really, really sick. Now you're going to feel like an a-hole, because you were a narcissist and you just thought the worst case scenario immediately. And that will save you a lot of trouble, having a multiple perspective advantage.
Like you said, you ain't going to always have that selfish thought process.
Right.
Because I think we do, and that comes from the victim mentality thing again. It goes hand in hand to me. Seems like whenever we're able to look at a situation and say, this is how it made me feel, but in reality, let me take myself out of it.
Right.
What is the actual thing that is happening right now? Because what's going on up here isn't real.
Exactly.
It's what I've created.
Right.
What I've created is not always real.
Exactly.
What I'm feeling is not always real. My sister used to say this to me. Shout out to Tia. But your emotions cannot be driving the car.
Right.
Because if your emotions driving the car, you swerving everywhere, you going off the road, you hitting curves, you doing all this crazy stuff because your emotions are like a wave. They just keep coming and going. They keep
Emotions
coming and
will
going.
take you down a rabbit hole that you don't want to go down.
That you were never meant to go down.
Exactly.
You created the rabbit hole.
Exactly.
You created the rabbit hole.
Man.
So whenever you're able to take a step back, like you were saying, get a different perspective and say, I'm being selfish right now.
Right.
I'm thinking of only me and me only. So how can I actually look at this from a different person's view? And it is difficult. It's hard to take that step back because I mean, I know we just touched on not numbing your emotions, but you're not. You're taking a second to really think about what's going on right now.
And just taking that second to really think could save your life. It could save you a lot of pain. It could save so much. It could save relationships and friendships. Because people are going to think like, well, hey, man, if you think like that about me, then we're not as cool as I thought we were. So that's where your self-control comes, and that's where being regimented, like I said, in your lifestyle, it helps you control your emotions. Like, honestly, a lot of the food that you eat, that mindfulness, just taking that time to meditate, taking that time to just take a walk, get away from certain situations is extremely, extremely important, because that's going to really get you in a healthy mindset. And and this is going to take time. This isn't going to be something that you learn overnight. This is some information for you guys to grow with, because we're still trying to implement this into our life to help ourselves.
How I always like to think of it, it's part of the process.
Right.
Life is a process. This is part of the process on your emotional side. Every part has a process.
Right.
And I think sometimes, I'll say from experience, you can kind of feel overwhelmed by the process of what the steps take to go through the process. But in reality, you got to start identifying little things that you can do to help yourself.
Absolutely.
And like you mentioned, being regimented, creating order in your life, which is something, my sister's been talking a lot on.
Right.
Creating that order in your life to where you can have the focus to work on what you think you need to work on. Because sometimes I think we let our emotions steer us so much that we feel like we're out of control.
And what you feed yourself as far as like the information has a big impact on your emotional health as well. And what I mean by that, a lot of the music that you listen to, like just informational videos like this, you inundate yourself with this material so much that it does become part of your default settings. But if you're not inundating yourself with the right things, your default settings and your emotions are going to get the best of you every time. So it has to be a concerted, intentional effort to help yourself. You can't take time away from it. You can't be doing all this BS Monday through Saturday, and then on Sunday, well, all right, it's time for me to, get my emotions in check. No, whatever you're doing Monday through Saturday, best believe it's going to come to head on Sunday. So it takes continuous work. The best basketball players in the world, Kobe Bryant, he didn't take no days off. No. So when the game time came, he was ready. R.I.P. Kobe. But yeah, man. So it's intentional, and it's like you said, it's part of the process. It's a lifestyle, and these are the tools that you need to be successful.
Because you can reach a certain level. Because we're not saying. I mean, I honestly take that back. You do need to practice mindfulness and understanding your emotions. I'm about to say maybe you can get through. No. You got to be able to recognize your emotions.
And you know what? That's what's sometimes frustrating about it. Sometimes what gets frustrating is like, well, I've been doing this stuff for 10 years. Can't I take some time away from? No, you can't. The best athletes, they could train for 20 years and say they take 2-3 months of eating bad, not exercising. It's like damn near they're at square one again. So it has to be part of your lifestyle. You can never get so arrogant and to the point that you think that, well, the rules don't apply to me, I'm exempt. No, you have to continuously practice these tools or utilize these tools to help you.
And then I think if you look at it this way and you say, man, I can take a breather, that's a pride thing. Kind of like we were just talking about. Your pride will be the...
Go into what were you saying about the episode of...
Snowfall.
Yeah.
Snowfall with old boy Franklin from Snowfall. My dude just had to let go of a few things. He probably could have made it out, but his pride was attached to something so deeply, so rooted that he could not let it go. So it brought him all the way down.
See, what the Bible say, pride goes before destruction.
Yes.
So you know what? You have to always be mindful of that, not letting your pride get into the way.
And then that pride can dictate and move you and pull you how you want to go, because his pride is selfish. Which, like we were just talking about, you can't be selfish with your emotions, which to me, pride does come across as an emotion.
And sin and pride, just various sins, emotional sins, they blind you.
Yes.
Like there could easily be a way to have a blessing, but the karma that you've built up for yourself is going to keep you blinded to certain ways to get out of certain things. So that's why it's very important on what you do. You reap what you sow, man. So you think that you can just do all this stuff and then just kind of have this happy ever after life. It don't work like that, man. So you always reap what you sow. So you have to make sure that you're doing the right thing so you can reap the life that you want. It's not a game. Not saying that you can't overcome a lot of the things that you've done. You can. But what I'm saying is you do reap what you sow. So it's very important. So don't go down certain roads if you already know what's going to happen to you.
And don't say, God know my heart.
Exactly. Yeah, right. So I'll just keep doing all this bit, but he know my heart. He ain't through with me yet.
Yeah. I'm going to get it together soon.
Yeah, well, you know what? Somebody going to be through with you and they going to lay you down. Somebody going to be through with you. He may not be. Yeah.
And then like some of the things you were talking about too to kind of help you keep in touch with those things, the breathing exercises like you touched on, making sure whenever you feel your body kind of become more emotionally driven, taking a second, taking some breaths, going for a walk. I go for a walk every lunch break just because I can sometimes feel that stress of working from home. You never detach, so get some fresh air. And then you had touched on a mood journal.
Right. A mood journal, man. It's important to write out your thoughts. When you make that concerted effort to actually write out your thoughts, it makes you more cognizant of what you've been thinking. And you can see like what's triggered me and how did I respond in certain places. And it just kind of makes you more aware of your thoughts and what you're feeling. That's important.
And self-awareness with emotions, that's one of the most important parts to me.
Right.
They go hand in hand. Once you become more self-aware, you recognize, like you were touching on, your triggers that are getting you emotionally charged. And whatever those emotions may be, where do those emotions come from? Because emotions are signals.
Right.
They aren't empty, they aren't bad, they aren't good, but they do come with messages to you to let you know something internal isn't maybe right. Maybe we don't know how to work through a certain thing that we went through in our past. And so now it continues to pull at me randomly throughout the days, but it's never really gone because I've never fully addressed it or acknowledged those emotions.
Right. You got to, like one of the popular sayings, hey man, protect your energy, protect your peace. You got to protect your peace at all costs, because if you aren't there for yourself, you're not going to be able to be there for anybody else. So you got to, like you said, what Cat Williams say?
hey, you gotta look out for your star player.
You got to look out
You
for
your star player.
You're your star player.
And I think I always, who was I talking about this? I can't remember who I was talking about it with. But you know how sometimes in these movies, TV shows, they always make come to find out the big bad person was like a clone, some version of yourself.
Right.
So your greatest enemy is usually yourself.
Yourself.
And overcoming yourself and overcoming those emotions. I shouldn't say overcoming, but understanding those emotions. Right. I don't want to negate them, but understanding those emotions.
And your mind has a funny way of like knowing all of your flaws. So your mind always jumps to the worst case scenario.
Yes.
Mark Twain had a saying, I can't remember, so I'm not going to even quote it, but he talked about that, like your greatest enemy is yourself, and your mind to create all these scenarios that won't even come true.
No.
But you've already jumped to all these conclusions. And those fears that you had won't even come true. So that's where these tools come into place to help you overcome your mind. You have to overcome your emotions, you know, so you can be your best person that you can be for yourself and for your family, man.
Amen to that. And I mean, we just wanted to share that again, just because trauma isn't trauma without emotions.
Absolutely.
The emotions are what really charge it. And you can never negate your emotions, act like they don't matter, act like they don't exist. I know in the Black culture, especially for men, we've tried to act like emotions are so detrimental to us, something that
there's signals you need to listen to.
Yes, you got to listen to yourself.
Right.
If you're gonna listen to the bad stuff, listen to some of the good too. That's trying to make you aware of.
Your conscience is there for a reason to guide you. You know. So man, don't negate those emotions, because God's given you those to help guide you, to protect you, and for you to flourish, and for you to avoid danger and avoid pain and death.
So just make sure you pay attention to your signals. What are your signals? What are your triggers? And then, like we were saying, breathing exercises, mood journal, CBT, cognitive behavioral therapy, just making yourself more conscious of the unconscious that you have going on within you, man.
Amen to that, brother. Well, I think that concludes today's episode on emotions, man. I hope everything that we said to you can kind of, I don't know whether we planted a seed or watered a seed. We just hope, that it helped you guys today. And we'll put some links in the, on the video to help you guys further with your emotions. I don't know if you may need to go see a therapist or get some counseling. We highly recommend it, because it will lead to you becoming your better version of yourself.
Amen to that. Y'all take care. Peace out.
Peace.